The portion of Noach is the story of the Great Flood, and it's a story of Noach with his children who survive in the ark. That's the gist of the story, and everything else is commentary. But this is the story of a generation that goes amok, and Noach has a vision and told to build this ark, and he enters into the ark. I want to understand a little bit what actually is really going on. Who is Noach? What does Noach represent? And what is the ark, and how this information is related to us. So just read a little bit from the Zohar of this week in portion of Noach. So the Zohar says like this: Tachazi, come and see, ki gavna da Noach letata, the same way, similarly, Noach is below, kaima kadisha have dugma del eila, valda ikra isha dama, and therefore Noach is similar to the attribute of Yesod, which I'll explain what this is, and therefore he's considered the master, or the person of the earth, which is related to the sphera, the attribute of Malchut. Noach needed the ark to enter into the ark, in order to give offspring to the future generations. So the Zohar basically says that there are two predominant themes in the portion of Noach, which is Noach the person, and Noach the ark that he builds. And symbolically, Noach is called, in the Torah calls Noach a ish tzaddik, a righteous man. Noach a ish tzaddik hayim d'oraisa. That Noach was a righteous person. The definition of righteousness, according to the Zohar, is related to the sphera, the attribute of Yesod. Yesod is a male quality, sphera, which represents focus energy. Malchut, which is the teva, the ark, is the vessel in which Noach enters. So Noach survives by being the attribute of Yesod, entering into a vessel which represents Malchut, which is the receiver, and surviving through the flood by being a yichud, creating a unity between the attribute of Yesod and the attribute of Malchut. Okay, this is what the Zohar says. Now we try to little unpack this information. There are two qualities that we have innately within ourselves. One is the quality of giving, and one is the quality of receiving. These are two innate qualities that we have within ourselves. The quality of giving represents a male quality, and the quality of receiving represents a female. This doesn't mean men or women. Feminine and masculine qualities, which exist both within male and within female, within men, within women. So we have a quality of giving and a quality of receiving. The quality of giving is the attribute of Yesod, giving from ourselves towards another, sharing. The quality of receiving, which is a positive quality also, is the attribute of Malchut, which is the receiver. So you have Yesod is the giving quality, and Malchut is the receiving quality. Noach represents a unity, which the idea of unity means a flow between the giving and the receiving, a constant flow. The generation of Noach, the way the Zohar understands it, and the Torah gives us a description, says that it was a generation that went afoul and was not a good generation. But what happened exactly? So the Zohar says the Torah says they were malach hamas, which the Zohar understands is they created a separation between the higher and lower waters. Higher waters represents the giving, lower waters represents the receiving. The generation of Noach was a generation of receivers. All they wanted to do in life is receive and get. I want more, I want more, I want more. Because there was only receiving and no sharing and no giving, there was a complete meltdown of the vessel. The melting of the vessel was the cause of the flood. And literally, symbolically, the flood is the lower waters of the earth rises up, that's the Torah's description, and the waters from above flow downward, which is the unity between the upper waters and the lower waters. But what caused that, which is the rectification of the separation between the higher and lower waters, is because the lower waters just wants to receive. Noach represents the balance, entering into the ark represents the balance between giving and receiving. It's not sufficient enough for us to just receive in life. We acquire things, whether it's money and it's food, and we're taking into ourselves, relationships. It's also, in order for us to be complete human beings and to create unity within ourselves, we have to complete the cycle of receiving, and receiving for the point of sharing. And sharing is sufficient enough and then receiving again. So we have enough to share. And that's the way we complete a cycle of giving and receiving, giving and receiving. Noach represents the balance between the giving and the receiving. That's why he's considered a tzaddik, which has the attribute of giving. And in fact, what is Noach's job description when he finally enters into the ark? His job description is that he has to feed the animals. So not only is he sharing to his kin, which is to his children and to his offspring, which as Zohar says was not a positive quality because he didn't share for others, but in order to rectify the unsharing towards others, he not only has to share towards others, but he has to also share towards an animal, into the animal kingdom, and serve the animal. And by doing that, he's giving the quality of sharing. That creates the balance of the giving and the receiving. And that's why Kabbalistically the structure of the ark embodies the quality of giving and receiving. We know that there's the name of Hashem, which is the prominent name, is Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey. The Yud represents the seed, which is the quality of the male quality, which is the giving. The Hey, which has vertical and horizontal expansion, represents the quality of receiving. The Vav is again a giving quality, it's a line, and the Hey is the circle, which is the receiving. So you have a line, point, circle, line, circle, male, female, male, female. That's the Yud Ke Vav Ke. Yud, the Hey, and the Vav and the Hey. When there's a unity between the Yud, Hey, and the Vav and the Hey, then there's unity between the masculine, giving, and the receiving, feminine. The dimensions of the ark is that it was 300 at its length, 50 at its width, and 30 at its height. So it was 300 by 50 by 30. If you take the Yud Ke Vav Ke, the letter Yud is the number 10, right? So if you have the Yud, which is the male quality, and it has a quality of unity with the Hey, so then you have 5 times 10. 5 times 10 is 50. That's the dimensions of the width. Then you have the letter Vav, and the Vav is connected now with the Hey. Vav is number 6. Hey now is 50. 6 times 50 is 300. So you have the length. Then you have the final Hey. Final Hey is 5. Vav and Hey, Vav is 6. 6 times 5, or 5 times 6, is 30. So you have the dimensions of the height. So the embodiment of the quality of giving and receiving is actually in the structure of the ark, because the structure of the ark represents the quality of perfect balance between giving and receiving. And this is what the Zohar is saying. This is what this portion really represents, and this is what the energy of this week is, to have a shift in our consciousness in terms of how we understand giving and receiving. Most of us think that we receive in life. I work, I earn money, I receive something, and then as a separate thing, I'm also a good person and I give. The Zohar says no, giving and receiving is part of the same process. You can't receive in a proper way only if you give, and you can't give only if you receive. In order to really embody the true energy of Yud Ke Vav Ke, which is more focused on this week, is if we understand that the process of giving and sharing is not something that's outside of our receiving. It's part of our receiving. The purpose of our receiving is actually to share. And the more we share, actually the more we receive. That's the cycle of giving and receiving. That's the complete cycle of the Yud, the Hey, into the Vav and the Hey. And that's what the Zohar says is the Yichud, the unity between Noach, the attribute of Yesod, the masculine, the giving, and the ark, where he enters into the ark, and that's the way he builds a family and builds a new world. The new world order that Noach builds is an order that understands the quality of giving and receiving, and that the giving is and the sharing is part of the receiving, and the receiving is part of the giving, and that's the way we enter into a consciousness of the portion of Noach by understanding what it is to really share. Not that we're sharing because we received, but sharing is part of receiving, and receiving is part of sharing.